Hello friends, in this video it is the second part of the jugular venous pressure video. We will see the abnormalities. In the first part we have seen the normal JVP and technique to measure it. In the second part we will see the abnormalities of the JVP. So in the abnormalities, first we will start with the waveforms. So causes of prominent A wave. Now we know that why there was a wave in the JVP. A wave is because of the atrial contraction. So as I told you earlier also that the pressures inside the right atrium are directly reflected in the internal jugular vein. So whenever atria has to forcefully contract against the ventricle, then some waveform will be transferred to the internal jugular vein upwards. And because of this waveform are to be transferred upwards, they will produce a wave, that is A wave. So if this contraction is furthermore stressed, so this waveform will be more prominent. So in cases where the atrial contraction has to be very prominent, the A wave will be prominent here. So we have heard this in fourth Hertz already, that either the ventricle should be non-compliant for this, that the ventricle is non-compliant, it is not accommodating adequate volume, that's why atria has to apply more pressure, or this wall is stenosed, that's why atria has to apply more pressure. So there are these two reasons for which the A wave can be prominent. Now we will see what are the causes of the prominent A wave. So at the tricuspid level, tricuspid stenosis, as I told you, if here is a fixed stenosis, then atria has to apply more pressure. Then right atrial tumor, similar with the tumor, if it is here or here, atria has to apply pressure. Then right ventricular level, the causes of severe right concentric hypertrophy, ventricular hypertrophy, such as severe pulmonary hypertension with intact ventricular septum, right ventricular cardiomyopathy, and severe aortic stenosis. So in all these reasons, the left ventricle becomes non-compliant and right atrium has to apply more pressure. And these waveforms are then transmitted to the internal jugular vein, which we see as a prominent A wave. So that is what the causes of prominent A wave. Now secondarily, if we look out at pathology, the right atrium if it has to contract against a closed tricuspid wall, the wall is closed, so what will happen, that all this wall is closed. So if atria has to contract against a closed wall, the energy from the atria will be wasted away into the veins, and this can be seen here into the waveforms, as the A wave will be exaggerated, or it will be giant A wave. So which are the conditions where atria will contract against a closed ventricle? It may be a conduction problem because of which it is contracting. So in that case, the A waves are exaggerated and we term them as Cannon A waves. We term them as Cannon A waves. So what is the reason? As I told you, if this wall is closed and atria is contracting forcefully against it, total energy is wasted and the vibrations are transmitted directly into the vein, and this wave is surely been exaggerated to a higher level, that is called Cannon. As you can see this diagram, the normal diagram for this, as I have drawn earlier, was like this. Now here what happened is the A wave has too much exaggerated and the V wave is normal, X descent is also normal, Y descent is normal. So what are the causes of such a high Cannon A wave? First is the junctional rhythm, second is ventricular tachycardia with 1:1 retrograde conduction. Now if there is retrograde conduction, surely the atria, when atria will contract, there will be some resistance of the ventricular inflow. That's why there will be Cannon A wave. So we have differentiated into regular Cannon wave and irregular Cannon waves. So what is the causes for regular Cannon wave is junctional rhythm and ventricular tachycardia with 1:1 retrograde conduction. Now irregular Cannon waves. Now in cases of complete heart block, we know atria and ventricle contract without any relation. There is no relation between atria and ventricle contraction. That is what we called as complete heart block. So in complete heart blocks there will be intermittent Cannon A waves, such that when the atria will contract against a closed tricuspid wall, then it will be a complete heart block and irregular Cannon waves will appear. Second thing is ventricular tachycardia. Here we have said that 1:1 retrograde conduction, that why it was regular. But VTAC, if it is irregular, there will be irregular Cannon waves, because atrial contractions does not depend on ventricular conduction. Second is third is ventricular ectopy, then ventricular pacing. These are the causes for irregular Cannon A waves. Now, in conditions where the atria doesn't contract at all, that will lead to absent A wave, because mainly the production of A wave is because of atrial contraction. If the atria will not contract, then there will be no A wave. So it will be seen in cases of atrial fibrillation. As we know, atria neither contracts nor relaxes during the atrial fibrillation. So all the students remember that there is absent A wave in the JVP in atrial fibrillation, but as I have told you, atria doesn't relax also. So there will be some defect on X descent also. So X descent here will be very minor. It will be very mild. Okay, X descent will be very mild or even absent, because as we know, X descent is due to atrial relaxation, and atrial relaxation is definitely affected in atrial fibrillation. So second cause for absent A wave is post DC conversion of atrial fibrillation. So these are the causes we have seen for regular Cannon waves, irregular Cannon waves, and prominent A waves. Now the abnormal X descent. As I have told you now, that atrial fibrillation, it will not allow atria to relax, then severe tricuspid regurgitation. Now the important thing to remember about tricuspid regurgitation is, we know the normal anatomy of the heart here, RA and RV. So now this tricuspid wall is regurgitating. So whenever there will be contraction, the blood will come back into the right ventricle. So just imagine A wave is there, and now for atrial contraction, there is a C wave, and C wave is because we know C wave is during isovolumetric contraction, there is bulging of the tricuspid wall into the atrium, because of which there will be C wave. But during regurgitation, the blood flow will start coming from the wall as soon as the ejection starts. That's why the level will never fall below, as we observe in normal cases of sinus rhythm or in normal tricuspid wall. We have to remember that because of this regurgitant blood flow, the level will always be middle somewhere in the atrium, and that's why classical finding in tricuspid regurgitation is formation of a CV complex. It means that your X descent will be absent. X descent is absent. So why X descent is absent? That is explained by this figure. X descent is due to atrial relaxation. What happens in atrial relaxation is that all the blood will go into the ventricle, and then atria will start filling slowly. But what happens in tricuspid regurgitation is, as atria becomes started relaxing, again the regurgitant volume comes up in through the atrium, and that's why the ventricle will atria will again fill up with the blood. So X descent never occur in tricuspid regurgitation, and there is a formation of a CV complex, and this is very classical in cases of tricuspid regurgitation. So prominent X descent. Again, in prominent X descent, now in cardiac tamponade, what happens? There is restriction to the ventricle to relax, and as there is restriction to the ventricle to relax, so it cannot relax, and the pressure inside the ventricle increases, and that's why the blood will come more forcefully from atria into the ventricle, and that's why there is prominent X descent in cases of cardiac tamponade. So important thing about abnormal X descent to remember is the CV complex, where the tricuspid regurgitation X descent is absent. Next is abnormal V wave. Now we know the importance of V wave. V wave is for venous return. It is for venous return. So either there is some problem in the venous return or venous return is in the atrium. So in the problem in the atria for accommodating the volume of the venous return. So we will see what are the causes of prominent V wave and diminished V wave. So prominent V wave is seen in the cases of tricuspid regurgitation, atrial septal defect with mitral regurgitation. Now again in the tricuspid regurgitation, what happens? In tricuspid regurgitation, what happens? This blood is recurrently coming to the atria from the ventricles. Okay, that's why during atrial relaxation, already some volume of blood is here, and vena cava is also bringing the blood here. So now what's happening is blood is coming from down also, blood is coming from venous return also, and that's why your venous return has significantly increased. The volume inside the atria is significantly increased, and that's why your V wave will be very prominent in cases of tricuspid regurgitation. Second is ASD. In ASD, the shunt is from left to right. So what happens is this shunt, suppose here is ASD, here is ASD. So ASD, the shunt will be like this, and so the shunt will be like this. Again, as in case of tricuspid regurgitation, the blood was entering from tricuspid wall also and venous return also. Here in ASD, the blood is entering from the septal defect also and venous return also. So there will be more blood inside the atria, and again it will lead to prominent V wave. In prominent V wave, we have to remember that we have to increase the venous return if we want to make the wave prominent. Now there is diminished V wave. Diminished V wave, we know when there will be diminished V wave, when the blood inside the atria will not be more, it will be less. So how can be the venous return will be reduced? So the main causes is hypovolemia. Either the person is losing more volume through vomiting, diarrhea, as in cases of shock we can see, and second is venodilator. Because of the dilatation of these vessels, the blood entering the atria is less, and that's why there is diminution of this V wave. Next is abnormal Y descent. Now we know what are the causes of the Y descent. Y descent is because of the rapid rush of the blood from atria into the ventricle. There is rapid rush of blood from atria into ventricle. So rapid rush of blood from atria into the ventricle, and that is what happens during rapid filling phase, we know. So whatever the problem is there in this rapid rush of blood will affect the Y descent. So we will see the causes. Rapid Y descent. Rapid Y descent means the Y descent will be very fast. Okay. So in rapid Y descent, all causes of prominent V wave, he says. It means that whatever will increase the venous return will also causes rapid Y descent. That is so true, because if the volume here increases, the blood volume against which it will go into the ventricle also increases. So there will be rapid rush of blood because of increased blood volume. Secondary causes are tricuspid regurgitation, then atrial septal defect, right ventricle. You will see this list is similar to this list as we have completed the prominent V waves. So rapid Y descent causes and prominent V wave causes are all same. Why there is slow Y descent? Now rapid rush. So in slow Y descent there will be slow rush, such that there will be obstruction to the blood flow, obstruction to the blood flow from atria to the ventricles. Now in which cases there will be obstruction to the blood flow from atria to the ventricles? In cases of tricuspid stenosis. If in cases of tricuspid stenosis, this will be reduced, and so as the wall is reduced, the flow should be less, and there cannot be a rapid rush of blood from atria into the ventricle. So the Y descent will be slow. Second is tension pneumothorax. Again the same, because of the increasing tension into the chest wall, because of the increased positive pressure inside the chest wall, it will compress the heart, and that's why the descent will be slow. Now one of the important question, what is pulseless JVP? Now pulseless JVP means the level will be high. Here the level is high, but there are no pulsations. Now, as we know, why there are pulsations in the JVP? Because the right atrium is transmitting the impulses to the internal jugular vein. But what happens in cases when you cut the connection between the jugular vein and the right atrium, such as if we see here, if it is cut it, what will happen that if the atria is not beating properly, such as in atrial fibrillation we have seen that there will be a wave will be absent because at no atrial contraction no a wave will be there. But in cases of superior vena cava obstruction, if it occurs anywhere, then the wave will go up but no pulsation, as the heart is pumping, but because of the obstruction the pulsations will not travel upward. So there will be pulseless JVP in case of SVC obstruction. Also true about the tension pneumothorax. If it is very severe tension pneumothorax, it will compress the vena cava and it may also cause the pulseless JVP. So the main cause of pulseless JVP is superior vena cava obstruction, where there will be the levels, you can see the dilated, super dilated internal jugular vein, but there will be no pulsations in the internal jugular veins. So this was the summary of causes of elevated JVP as we see clinically: superior vena cava obstruction, right ventricular failure, tricuspid stenosis, pericardial compression causing constriction or tamponade, renal failure, excessive fluid administration, and ASD. So if we correlate the JVP with heart sound, if we correlate JVP with heart sounds, so the most important thing is, how will you recognize the A wave? A wave in JVP precedes the S1. So the wave in the JVP that precedes the first heart sound occurring just before the first heart sound is the A wave. So wave occurring just before S1 is A wave. So this is how one hand you have to keep on the carotid, and by the statho you have to listen. The wave which occur just before S1 on auscultation, and you are observing the JVP, the wave which occur before S1 is A wave, and the wave which coincides with S2 is V wave. As we know that there is a venous filling, venous return, so it may be coincide with S2 and also continue after S2, because we know atrial relaxation is a prolonged period time than the ventricular systole, it takes more time. So there will be prominent V waves, or V waves will be seen in coinciding with the S2. But the main fact here is A wave just precedes the S1. What happens in cases of first degree heart block is, we know what happens in first degree heart block. There is a PR interval prolongation such that the impulse is delayed at AV node, more than physiological at AV node. So what happens is the A wave will be well before the S1. As I told you, physiologically it will come just before S1, but if there is first degree heart block, then A wave will be well before S1. You can differentiate both readily. So it indicates there is a first degree heart block. So these were the clinical correlates with the jugular venous pressure.